This year's theme is Shirley Temple, the Depression era's box office doll. It explores the story of how both her films and her merchandising, namely the doll made in her likeness, lifted spirits and the economy during the Depression, which coincided with her childhood career between 1934 and 1940. And now I'm going to introduce you to our exhibit and tell you a little bit about each area, each setup that we have here in the museum. Movie merchandising started with the beginning of movies, but the mass production of dolls and toys started early in the Depression with Walt Disney. His short films made little money in theaters, but toys and the likeness of the characters he and his artists created made the studio profitable. When Shirley Temple was embraced by the public in a featured role in early 1934, a public craze began for her, and toy and merchandising companies quickly proposed products to the Temple family and Fox Studios. Here are some examples of her merchandise and advertising for those items. Temple lived with her parents and two older brothers in a modest home in Santa Monica. Even during the Depression, George Temple, a banker, had a decent job, and Gertrude was able to stay at home and work with her precocious infant daughter. Gertrude was the ultimate stage mother, but kept her daughter and herself grounded throughout the movie career and avoided the problems which seemed to be the norm in the stage mother-child star world. The museum exhibit includes her birth certificate, images of her Santa Monica childhood, her childhood clothes, and doll. The Shirley Temple baby doll, made in 1935, is included in this tableau. The family moved to a larger estate in Brentwood within a year of Shirley's stardom. The original Shirley Temple doll was made between 1934 and 1940. It eventually came in 11 sizes, was made of all composition with human hair wigs, sleek glass eyes, and each one was dressed in costumes from her latest film. It was designed by sculptor Bernard Lipford, who sculpted most of the personality and name dolls of the 1930s. The costume and clothing were by Molly Goldman and Mary Bauer, and based on the designs from Fox and 20th Century Fox costume designers. Gertrude Temple oversaw the molding of the doll, and it could not be released until she approved it. The doll was ready for Christmas 1934. In the exhibit, when possible, we have placed the matching doll next to the original movie costume. The exhibit includes many of Shirley's costumes. Gertrude Temple kept one each of nearly every costume Shirley wore in her films. Also kept was all of Shirley's memorabilia. Though she and husband Charles Black did all they could to have the collection make its way to a museum, it did not happen. So Shirley gave her children permission to sell the collection upon her passing. The Love Shirley Temple auction occurred in 2015, and many of the items on display were purchased by patrons of the Santa Monica Museum, other museums, and collectors who are conserving the items and have loaned them for this exhibit. Amongst the costumes on a display here are the Good Ship Lollipop dress and doll from Bright Eyes, the Ducky dress and doll from Curly Top, Little Miss Broadway, Shirley's gifted Asian costume, her granny glasses from Curly Top, the opera costume from Captain January, the Little Colonel Technicolor finale dress, two costumes from Little Princess, and then the Bluebird. Now, the Bluebird exhibit, considered Shirley's last childhood film, includes her full costume, an original script, a poster, a flyer from the co-curator's family's theater, and the rare prototype Bluebird doll. Only a few samples of the doll were made up in anticipation of the release of the film. By early 1940, the Temples and 20th Century Fox had decided to part ways, and with her pending adolescence, Ideal too decided to stop making the Shirley Temple doll in late 1939. The Bluebird Shirley was never made to the public market. Here's a group of rare Shirley dolls. Included in this group are the aviator costume from Bright Eyes, Captain January, Wee Willie Winkie, the Captain January school dress, the Canadian reliable company Little Colonel, and the wooden shoes Heidi. Here's the famous dancing dress from Curly Top. It's displayed on dolls from the smallest to the largest size. Here are the 11-inch, 13-inch with box, 17-inch, and 27-inch dolls. Doll trunks to house the dolls and costumes were made. Extra dresses came in their own boxes and with clothes hangers. So anticipated was the doll in 1934 that images of Shirley holding a doll with a photo of her face cut in were distributed before the mold was finished. Besides stimulating the economy with jobs in factories, the doll was in such demand that a cottage industry sprang up around Long Island, New York, as Ideal employed seamstresses in their homes to sew the costumes for the doll. The Shirley Temple doll sold well over 1 million units during its near 6-year production period. Fortune magazine photographed the factory at work in 1936. A special doll in Western garb was made in 1936 to celebrate the Texas Centennial, and Shirley attended. The last doll to be sold commercially was for Christmas 1939. This is that model with the Christmas Sears ad. The doll's mold had changed during production. The later models are called Makeup Shirleys. The face is a bit more mature, and she featured eyeshadow and darker cheeks. Here's the Makeup Shirley Temple from 1939. Poor Little Rich Girl. Next is the Little Rebel and Little Colonel dolls. And our little girl with her Scotty dog dress doll. Whacker, our Shirley dolls, were made in 1936 and did not have a license. So 20th Century Fox put a stop to them. Behind are original ads for the Ideal doll. Shirley was well indoctrinated into the world of public relations, politics, and diplomacy during her childhood career, which this tableau represents. And therefore she was well equipped for her future role as a U.S. diplomat. Introducing everyone at the front of the exhibit is the most famous, iconic Shirley Temple costume of all time, her red and white polka dot dancing costume from Stand Up and Cheer. This is the moment in movie history which made her a star. Along with Shirley's very own Little Colonel doll, which she holds in the accompanying photo.